Just about there. Okay, hey everybody, Shane Class here with Shane Talks Politics. I'm going to take that out. It's echoing in my ear. So, I want to talk to you about Mike Crapo. I've been seeing a lot of his ads and I started wondering, where is all this money coming from? How is he running this many ads? And so I started digging into his campaign financing. Oh boy, what a deep rabbit hole this has been. As I started digging into Mike, now Mike Crapo, just so that for those of you who don't know, let's just talk a little bit about him and the power that he holds in the Senate, and then we'll dig in a little bit to his campaign financing. So if we take a look at Mike Crapo, this is just from his website. It talks about a little bit about him, but his leadership and what he's done. But when we start digging in a little bit, he is a member of the Senate Finance Committee, and he became the top Republican on the committee in February of 2021. He says giving Idaho a strong voice in the legislation relating to federal tax policy, federal social safety net, healthcare programs, implementation of reciprocal foreign trade agreements, says this is what he supports, blah, 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 blah. But he has a lot of power. And for someone who has a lot of power, we as Idahoans have a strong responsibility to understand where his money's coming from, who he's beholden to, and is he really taking care of the interests of Idahoans, and not just Idahoans, but our United States? How is he treating the citizens around the state? So I started digging in, and I'm going to tell you, I was shocked. This is an article from Insider, and I do want to talk about this article for just a minute because they start off with, here's what $15,000 will buy lobbyists on Senator Mike Crapo's pay for access price list. What they mean by pay for access, you give me a little bit of money for my campaign and I'll give you this much access. Now, this is something that's been widely criticized, and members from both sides of the aisle, from Ted Cruz to AOC, you know how much I think about her, but from both sides of the aisle, there's been a lot of controversies surrounding this pay for access, and several of them said, no, we're not going to do any of that. Hey, but Mike Crapo, not only does he say he's going to do it, he'll just come right out and tell you. So as the top Republican on the Senate Finance Committee, he offers prospective donors 3 levels of access at different donation price points. So give me some money and I'll give you a little bit of my time. And one reform advocate called a document detailing Crapo's fundraising particularly vulgar. As we start looking into it a little bit, so how much money buys which level of access? Well, the equation is often incalculable, but that's not the case with the Republican Senator Mike Crapo of Idaho. And here's what you get. If you give Mike Crapo $15,000, that's the gold benefits package. Lobbyists, financiers, representatives, other special interests are entitled to no fewer than 7 exclusive events with Crapo. And hey, here's what you get. You get a max out reception on July 20th in DC, the annual hook and bullet out. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. I mean, it's pretty lavish. And if you're gold, you get almost all that minus a little bit silver, all the way down to bronze, where you still get to select an out-of-town Crapo event, plus a reception in Washington, or opt for access to limited packages of receptions and Zoom calls and a ticket to the Potato Fest. In other words, give Crapo some money, you get a little bit of his time. So the real question is, who wants his time? And this is where it gets deep. So first of all, let's talk about his Freedom Fund. And so they talked about this a little bit here, that they don't just you don't just give money to Mike Crapo. Let me see if I can find this real quick, and I'll pull it up on the screen for you. Because you have a couple different ways that you can do this. You can donate directly to him. Here we go. So let's take a look. The money Crapo raises benefits both his reelection committee and the Freedom Fund, a leadership political action committee he operates. According to the documents, Crapo also gives supporters the option of raising money from friends and colleagues. So, hey, if you help me raise some money from everybody else, I'll give you some of my time too. So I dug into the Freedom Fund. I wanted to know a little bit more about what this Freedom Fund is. And in summary, it just simply says that mostly it gives to Republicans. They've raised in 2019 to 2020 almost $1 million. And they've given out almost $1 million, with the $675,000 of that is their beginning cash on hand. So they had carryover, and they ended with $600,000. So there's just a little profile. But right here, you can click on candidate recipients, and you can see who the money goes to. So if you take a look here, it goes to a lot of different, these are your Senate candidates. Here's your House candidates. So your House candidates that benefited from this. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit to make it a little easier for you to see. So when you look at the House candidates, looks like Russ Fulcher benefited from that. Good old Mike Simpson benefited from that. Burgess Owens over in Utah benefited. Why is he giving money to folks over in Utah? Who knows? And then you start looking a little bit down at who the individual candidates are, and you get a lot of Republicans are on this list. Lindsey Graham. Oh, dig around a little bit more. I notice, good old Mitch McConnell, and the list goes on and on and on, right? So these are the candidates, but here's the important part. These are who he's giving to, and I'm sure that by donating to other candidates, you buy yourself a lot of favors. If I really want to push something through, hey, you know what? I'll tell you what. I'll donate to your campaign, and we'll make sure that we get that taken care of for you. You know, a lot of that takes place back there, right? But here's the scary part. Let's start looking into who's giving them the money. Who gives to this Freedom Fund PAC? Let's look at their donors. So who's getting, remember all those little favors? Okay, and you get to do something. Well, here's from ClearPath. Here's a little bit of a game that we see. You can only give up $5,000, right? But hey, guess what? Olga can give some, and Jay can give some. So two people from the same family, supposedly husband and wife, they can give a little bit to it. We see the Sinclair companies show up over and over and over again. You see all of his, and here's what's sad about this. We see Mike going out there, oh yeah, look at Biden, and gas prices are going up all over the place. But hey, guess what? Guess who's one of his big donors? And you're going to see that name come up. Look here, folks. Look right here. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Between old Billy and Melinda, they made sure he got 10 grand that was given into that PAC that he can donate around. Why in the world would Bill and Melinda Gates want to give a Republican money from Idaho money? Well, if you take a look around, you'll notice that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Bill Gates, he's been snooping around Idaho a lot, been buying up land a lot, land right around Idaho's waters. He's also wanting to invest into a big nuke facility over at INL. Let's keep going. We keep going down here. We'll see Watco. They're a big railroad type company, and they do all sorts of other type of shipping. Well, guess what? Old Mike Crapo has been pushing hard for federal money and for a lot of things that help Watco expand their operations. Go figure. Let's keep digging. We start seeing Capital Funding Group. We start seeing, let's get on down to the next page here. This page bounces around a little bit. It's a little hard to follow sometimes. Watco. And so you see those names pop up quite a bit. So those are some of their big donors that are coming in just into the foundation. But now let's go directly to the Mike Crapo's contributions. These are the ones that don't go to his foundation. These are the ones that went directly to him for 2022. Over 1.6 million, almost $1.7 million in total contributions that he's received this election cycle. United Health Group, Apollo Global Management. Oh, Apollo, who's Apollo Global Management? Well, Apollo Global Management Fund. Okay, let's dig up here. Who are some of the recipients? Who do they donate to? It's interesting. They give about 50-50 to Democrats and Republicans. They really don't care each side. But as you start taking a closer look, Senate Leadership Fund, these are all funds. But when you look at the top recipient, individual recipient, not into a fund, but you look to their top recipient, guess who you see there? Good old Mike Crapo. Well, who else is tied into Apollo? Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, two of the big guys over there at Apollo, they were wanting to do some business with old Jeffrey Epstein. You see where this is going? Is the money that he receives, let's keep looking at this. This should be extremely disturbing to anybody who follows along, who basically owns the world. BlackRock, $39,300 that they have given to this particular campaign committee of, Mike Crapo. Here's some of the other folks they give to. Well, 67% of their money from BlackRock goes to Democrats. So why in the world are they so interested in giving to Mike Crapo? Take a look at their top people that they give money to. Follow the money, guys. Charles Schumer is the #1 recipient of BlackRock money. Mike Crapo from Idaho is #2. Are you paying attention here? I know this is a lot of information I'm packing in here, but one should really question why Mike Crapo is the #2 person receiving money from BlackRock. BlackRock is not your friend. They are not a friend of Idaho. They are not a friend of the United States. They're not a friend of the world. They are a friend of themselves. They are one of the biggest powerhouses in the World Economic Forum. They are not your friend. And for some reason, they think that Mike Crapo is worth the #2 contributions that they give out. BlackRock. And there's all, you can just go down the list and see everybody else that they give money to. Blackstone is another one that you'll see when you go digging down Mike Crapo's donors. You see Blackstone. Well, Blackstone's CEO, okay, this is their CEO. This is right from Blackstone's page. I don't want to give you any information that's coming from any sources that aren't going to give you true information. And here's their CEO, Steven Schwartzman, and they are one of the world's leading investment firms with $941 billion in assets under management. And if we take a look down here, Mr. Schwartzman is a member of the Council on Foreign Relations, Business Council, Business Roundtable, and the International Business Council of the World Economic Forum. Why are they so interested in Mike Crapo? Mike, you got a lot of questions to answer. And I hope that Idaho's voters, I hope this video right here gets circulated a lot, because Mike is no friend to Idaho. Mike's been in the swamp a long time, and Mike is up to here in that swamp. He's probably drinking it. It's probably up to this point on him right now. Mike is bad for Idaho, and he does not deserve your vote. Just because he has an R next to his name doesn't mean he's a safe vote, and it's time that Idahoans wake up and realize that.